name is Than Johnson, and my wife Lisa and I live here in the neighborhood just up the road from Ken and Gretchen Ballama. We have lived here ever since we built this house 17 years ago. We've been in the Lowell community for 24 years, and all of our 4 kids graduated from Lowell High School. I thank you for the privilege of sharing a message with you today and on this holiday weekend. I thank Gretchen for extending the invitation to me to participate in this way. As Lisa and I were out on a walk this week, we were noticing that Jack was very busy in the pulpit. There were Jack in the pulpits everywhere we saw on the road. So Jack and I are going to be filling the pulpit this weekend, and glad to share this moment with you today. I wanted to share something with you that was one of the most meaningful spiritual experiences of my lifetime, and it happened about 11 years ago. In the context that I was serving the Virgins United Methodist Church just down the road here in the area, located there on the corner of Bailey and Parnell. I served that parish for 14 years and had the privilege of building some wonderful memories and establishing a good connection and ministry during those years. And then about 10 years ago, I left Virgins to pursue full-time career in chaplaincy. And that is what I have been doing ever since then, working primarily in the hospital setting and working at Spectrum Health up until, just earlier this month. Thanks to COVID-19, why there were 1,200 of us that were let go from the organization so that the company could keep their doors open and enable them to continue to save some money in the areas of the budget. And so that kind of came as a big surprise. However, here I am. And so I thank Ken and Gretchen for thinking to ask me to share this moment of meditation with you today on this Memorial Weekend. I am glad to share with you about an experience that I had, and it has to do with formational prayer. And if you have ever heard of that phrase, formational prayer, it has to do with praying with the imagination. And if that sounds a little unusual to you, believe me, it was very unusual for me when I was introduced to it. I had received a scholarship to attend this prayer retreat in Ashland, Ohio, in April of 2009. And I have to tell you, when I got the invitation to go to this prayer retreat, the idea of spending a week, 7 days, with a bunch of pastors talking about prayer was not my idea of fun. However, I went with an open mind, and I was really surprised and blown out of the water, really, to discover such a refreshing invitation and a way to pray that incorporates the imagination that we have all been given. Some of us are more free to utilize our imagination than others, but I do believe that all of us have this gift. And what I want to talk to you today is to talk about the idea of a safe place prayer. A safe place prayer. So when you think about the images of safety in your own life, what comes to your mind? Is it working in your garden? Is it sitting in your tree stand? Perhaps it is at the seashore, on the beach, hearing the waves crashing against the sand and the shore. Maybe this weekend, for Memorial Weekend, it is getting in a boat and enjoying the peacefulness that comes when you have an opportunity to throw a line in the water and see what comes. Whatever that image of safety, I want you to think about that as being the the catalyst or the platform from which you can engage the divine presence in prayer. If it's anything like my background, I did not grow up with the idea that prayer was anything to do with the imagination, that prayer was dry, boring words that pastors would drone on, and I would frankly fall asleep. Sometimes the prayers were so long in the church services that I grew up in. And so when I was introduced to this idea of safe place prayer, it was this idea of introducing prayer along with the imagination. And I don't know about you, but I have a really vivid imagination. And so the idea of having the imagination be the catalyst for a conversation of prayer is something that I fully embrace. And I would like to talk to you briefly about what this safe place prayer is all about. If you are comfortable to do this, I would in fact invite you to enter into a place of comfort and to sit in a relaxed posture as you allow yourself to breathe in the present reality. Close your eyes if you wish. To breathe in wherever you are, to acknowledge whatever you're thinking, whatever you're feeling, to pass no judgment on it, to embrace it for what it is. If you're outside, beautiful, in a setting like I am in here today on my porch. Otherwise, you can be in your home, in one of your rooms where it is quiet, with soft lighting, soft music. To take some deep cleansing breaths, breathing in and slowly breathing out. And if you're comfortable, to invite the Spirit of God to ask for God's blessing, God's protection, as you introduce your imagination into this time. And as you think about that safe place, whatever that safe place happens to be for you, I want you to imagine yourself in that safe place. Now for me, personally, it is in a huge open field, not unlike the field that is right across from our home here, except that the grass is tall, maybe 1 to 2 feet tall, enough so that when the wind blows softly over that field, it's as though there's an invisible conductor that is orchestrating the movement of the grass in this silent or mysterious music that can only be heard with the heart. For me, that is my safe place. That is the image of utter relaxation, refreshment, renewal. What is it for you? It could be just about most any place. It could be a place that you've seen. It could be a place that you have been. It could be an imaginary place. It could be a place that is pictured with a painting on the walls of your home. Whatever it is, you must feel safe in this place. And allow time for your imagination just to fill in all the details. What are you seeing with your mind's eye? What are you hearing? What are you smelling? What are you feeling? Can you taste anything in the air? And in this moment, I want you to think about all those feelings that you're experiencing. The sights, the sounds, the smells, the feelings. Allowing yourself to feel complete and utter safety. And if you feel safe in doing so, you can allow the presence of Jesus into that space. You don't have to, but if you wish to. And if Jesus is present, is he saying anything? Is he speaking to you? Is he embracing you? Are there any actions that are being experienced? And as you're experiencing that place of safety, and if Jesus happens to be there, what is the Lord saying to you? Is there a word that he has to share? The psalmist uses word pictures so often. In fact, the Hebrew people were all about using the imagination, and there were moments of telling stories that conjured up the divine. In fact, all through the Old Testament, it is the story of God's love for God's people. When you walk into the halls of a beautiful cathedral in Europe, or some of the cathedrals that we have around here, what you see are artistic images of stories that are being told. And when you observe the ministry of Jesus, there are constantly parables that he is using to communicate the divine truths, the stories that conjure up images for the hearer. Well, imagine if that is the platform from which you and I could approach prayer. So rather than going through a laundry list of things that you want to ask God for, just to sit in that quiet place of mindfulness, of safety, of quiet, of relaxation, and see what happens. Is there something that is fostered in your imagination in that moment? For me, when I experienced this for the first time, I sat across the room from my spiritual director. And he was sitting there and he was amazed at how easily praying with the imagination came for me. And I told him it was incredible because it was like a Hollywood movie unfolding for me as images were going from place to place in my own life that brought about deep and profound healing for me. And I would love to share that with you in further detail at another time. But today I just want to give a soft introduction, a very, very brief overview of what this might be like for you if you were to pray with the imagination. It's easy to do in the setting like we have here with the beauty of the nature and the sounds that are happening all around us. What is it that prayer would look like for you if prayer were more about listening than speaking? If prayer were more about silence than reading through a laundry list? What if prayer was nothing more than listening to the sounds of nature all around us? What a gift. What a gift indeed. So as we are celebrating Memorial Day, the holiday weekend here, and there may be times that we will be breaking out of our sheltering in place and experiencing the great outdoors, I trust that you might go into the space of incorporating your imagination in your prayer, whatever this safe place prayer might look like for you, and to receive it as a gift from God's heart of love to you as God's child. Grace and peace be with you. Amen.